Happy Sunday, Tampa Bay. We're with you for another week to talk about the Tampa Bay real estate market here on the Duncan Duo Show. I'm joined by Michael Barbino, the team leader of our Sarasota office, and Mike Yates from Atlantic Bay Mortgage. And when we aren't on air, make sure to check out our social channels. We are at the Duncan Duo on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.com/the Duncan Duo Show. I want to start out of the gate today and talk about 4 things that your agent knows about negotiating, and really kind of gear the first part of the show around what an agent brings in value in terms of the negotiation process. And I think that there are certainly people out there that do a lot of negotiating in their careers. It changes things a little bit when it's your own personal property. I think that agents, especially agents on our team that have done hundreds, our company's done thousands of transactions. The more that you do, the more experience you get. It's just like the best golfers golf a lot. The best baseball players get in the batting cage or jump on the mound a lot. So it's the things that your agent brings to the table from a negotiation perspective are a lot of the value proposition for hiring an agent. But one of the very first things is knowledge. Knowledge about the market. Michael, I'm sure you can speak to this, but as agents, this is what we do every day. We know the market, we know the neighborhoods, we know the statistics, we know the terms and conditions that are likely to be viewed positively and likely to be viewed negatively.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, dealing with buyers and sellers, we can't always know who's on the other side. So we're now dealing with somebody who might have sold 100 homes or might have sold 1 home in 10 years. So that's knowledge of that as well. Goes into the second part of knowing when to respond and how to respond to an offer. Of where a lot of agents, they'll be so excited to get it signed that if you know that and you know that information, it helps you protect whether you have the buyer or the seller for their best interest.
Well, and I think you kind of made a good point about knowing the agent on the other side. Having done the amount of deals we do, there's a lot of agents that we've done lots and lots of deals with. That we've sold lots of homes to them, and our buyers have bought lots of their listings. And there's obviously a little bit of comfortability there when you have that, because you have positively done transactions together, and there is a goodwill, so to speak, of having worked together in the past. I think that on the contrary, if you are able to look up the statistics of the agent on the other side and you see that they sell 1 or 2 homes a year, and may not be as up to date on what's going on in the market, they may have another job, they may work real estate part-time, your negotiation strategies and the steps that you're going to take are going to be different, because you're going to sometimes have to do more to prove your case, so to speak, or to help them convey it to the other side. They may not be an experienced negotiator like you are, or vice versa. As a new agent, I think it's important, and this is something that I think our industry as a whole understands. Real estate agents cooperate. They work together to get a real estate transaction done. So while a more experienced agent may want to know and then help that inexperienced agent, the inexperienced agent needs to be unafraid to say, look, I'm a little bit inexperienced here. What would you recommend? How would you? They need to be willing to understand that they don't know what they don't know. That they really do need to learn from that other agent. And they need to do a lot of transactions before they're really a great negotiator, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that they need some help to get through that process.
Yeah, and we're facilitators. We're not the end all. We're not responding.
We don't make the decisions.
We don't make the decisions.
It's the buyers and sellers that make decisions, and that gets misunderstood so much. I mean, we talked about it on the show last week. There are still agents today that just don't understand that. We are not making a decision. We are literally conveying the answer to you. We gave the customer advice. They made the decision. And we hear it all the time. Well, you accepted another offer. Look, I didn't accept anything. We did not accept anything. The seller accepted an offer. We're not in the business of accepting offers. That's what the seller does. So, but because again, the barrier of entry to real estate is relatively low. You've got to get a C on a state exam, basically, to become an agent. And so, there's not a lot of continuing education. There's a big push by a lot of brokers to revolutionize and change the industry and do all these different things. But The reality is you have a lot of agents that don't do a lot of business, that really don't get a lot of education and make a lot of mistakes. Fortunately, a more experienced agent can help, guide you through some of that. So how to time it, I think is an important step. There's so many timing elements of a negotiation, whether it's the response period on the inspection period, whether it's the closing date. We talk a lot in our company, we probably talk a little too much in our company, about not closing at the end of the month or on Friday. Those are just nightmare days to close.
Barbino and I was talking about that on the way over here today.
Yeah, I mean, you just you don't want to close on a Friday or at the end of the month. You want to negotiate to close on other days because the transaction will go more smoothly, because the title companies and mortgage lenders aren't as buried on those days. It's just natural. So timing your response, timing the inspection period, timing the dates of the contingencies, the appraisal period, all very, very crucial in knowing how that looks to the other side, knowing what's important.
I actually have a perfect example of that right now as well, especially with the timing. Our closing, I have one closing, it was Thursday of this past week, but it ended up where there were about 6 transactions that had to take place. Ours was kind of in the middle. The buyer, buying the seller's home, seller buying a new, but there were 2 more before that as well. And it got delayed a little bit because the 2 before ours was a little delayed. If that was all set up to happen on Friday, someone towards the end of that might not have anything until Monday, for example. So having that
that's
extra
what happens
day.
when Fridays or end of the month are picked and negotiated, stuff goes wrong, and then people are stuck, Saturday and Sunday staying in a hotel or kind of in an in-between place, yelling at the realtors, like we caused it, which we didn't, but the reality is that at the beginning of the process, an experienced expert negotiator can look forward and know those timelines and prevent it. So in some instances, it can be the realtor's fault for not giving the customer the advice about, hey, look, don't close on a Friday or don't close at the end of the month. Objectivity, I think, is another part of it. When you're negotiating your own sale and you're talking to the person about what's going on in your life, you're going to reveal sometimes too much information. You're gonna undermine yourselves. Oh, well, me and my so-and-so were splitting. Probably not a good thing to say to the person who wants to buy your home, because now they're going to lowball you and undercut you and want to steamroll over you in the negotiation. So having a third party, aka an agent, represent you in a fiduciary responsibility, you tell them what they're not allowed to relay or convey, as long as it's not something that's illegal. So if you don't want them to tell people why you're moving, they don't tell people why you're moving, and so those things can really hurt you in a negotiation. An inexperienced negotiator will make the mistake of saying certain things like that hurt the negotiation process. So certainly want to keep emotions out of it, and I think agents allow you to, great agents, successful, experienced agents that have negotiated lots and lots of home sales know how to do that. What to ask for? I think this one's always funny. There are a lot of times people want like art on the wall, and they want the TVs, and they want this, and they want that, and you can really lose out on an opportunity to buy a house in a competitive market like today, in a bidding war like today, by asking for too much. On the contrary, when it's the other side of the market, when it's a buyer's market, you can really screw up by not asking for enough. So in a market like today, you're probably not going to get away with everything everything that you want in the negotiation. You're going to have to pick and choose, and the agent can help you decide what things are important to the seller or buyer and what things aren't, and help you negotiate that. Mike, I think you can speak to this on the lending side. A lot of people don't understand this, but personal property, art, TVs, all those types of things can't be financed.
Right, yeah, so that could, potentially mess up the financing part as well. One great thing about the contracts that we have here, it does state in there that the personal property conveys at no value.
Which was a recent change. A few years ago, we did not have that in there, and it was a nightmare all the time when they wanted to add personal property.
Right, so, for example, if you have a sales price of $200,000 and you're including in the sale TVs, furniture, whatever, and you don't specify that conveys at no value, then the appraiser is supposed to put a value on those items and deduct it from the appraised value. Correct. So you could be in a situation where that furniture ends up causing the home to technically appraise low.
And again, the standard contracts have that language in there, but there's people that use the old versions. There's all kinds of varieties of contracts that get used. But so another thing in terms of what to ask for, the deposit to put up, the closing date, which we talked about in timing, but the terms, all the contingencies, the hoops to jump through, depending on how competitive the market is in that price point or neighborhood. It's important to note that the more you ask for, the more you risk in losing the house. If you're negotiating on that side. Same thing on the seller side. If you've only got one offer and you're asking the buyer to jump through all these kinds of hoops, the buyer may say no. The leverage for you to get more things in your favor improves, number one, when you hire the Duncan duo. Better rephrase that.
Nice plug.
Leverage to improve in the negotiation process starts with number one, hiring the Duncan duo. But no, in reality, it improves based on the trends in the market. If it's a seller's market, then you're likely as a seller to be in the advantaged position. If you're a buyer's market, then the buyer's likely to be in the advantaged position. And all kinds of things go into what can improve it from there. Is your offer cash? Do you already have a commitment letter from a lender? Are you buying a home that's been on the market a while? Is it new to the market? Is the market competitive or not competitive in that neighborhood? So all those things go into play for the best negotiation for you. So again, we've been talking about things your agent knows about negotiating and negotiating tips to help you get either the best purchase price or best deal, or the highest purchase price for selling a home here on the Duncan Duo Show. We'll put the video up on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/the Duncan Duo. So make sure to check it out when we aren't on air, and you can learn more about our negotiating tips and things we do to differentiate ourselves. We're going to be back after the break. We're going to talk about some featured properties. We're also going to talk about some more happenings in real estate, some mortgage information and news after a quick break here on